Does he feel caught in the middle of President Trump's battle with the media? And Alan Cumming on how Whoopi's following his latest instinct.
You look fat.
Nice to see you too.
The House of Hot Topics is in session with Whoopi, Sarah Haynes, Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, and Megan. Now, let's get things started.
Well, it is the one-year anniversary of the Mueller investigation, which you know who is calling the greatest witch hunt in American history on Twitter. Now, a lot of new information was revealed yesterday, and put his lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, a little on the defense last night. Take a look.
The same reason they can't indict him, they can't issue a subpoena to him.
Don Jr. admits he was looking on Hillary from the Russians.
Wow, that's what you do. It's but you do it. Nothing illegal about that. And even if it comes from a Russian or a German or an American, it doesn't matter. And they never used it. It's the main thing. They never used it. They rejected it. If there was collusion with the Russians, they would have used it.
What is your optimal timeline for this to wrap up?
They should do it today.
So what's interesting about all of that is that when it was thought that maybe Hillary's group had gone and looked for dirt on him, it was a terrible thing, a horrible thing, and now it's okay. Now that it's him, it's okay.
Yeah.
Because it's just what you do. But what do you think? It's kind of interesting.
He's just lying. I mean, you can't collude and get information from the Russians and the Germans. I mean, that's treason. He just keeps on lying and lying. And as an attorney, I'm listening to the lies and I'm like, what are you talking about? He's saying this is a witch hunt. Well, it's caught a lot of witches and warlocks. I mean, there have been 75 charges filed already. 22 people have been indicted. So this suggestion somehow that the Mueller investigation isn't finding anything is nonsense. And I'm so tired, Whoopi, of people saying collusion, collusion, collusion. Collusion is not a crime, everyone. There's no enumerated crime for collusion, but the crimes of obstruction of justice and treason and conspiracy, they're all out there. And I've got to tell you, when you have 75 criminal charges filed already, you can't say that this is a big nothing burger. It's just
I remember when we talked about opposition research and Hillary, and I actually think across the boards we should make it illegal to ever have anyone outside of this country giving opposition research on both sides. Because I just think that it's an involvement on some level in our democracy, whether it's justified in someone's mind or not. I think it should be illegal.
Even if they took the money out of politics, it would help a lot, because you can't really, you can't even run a campaign without all sorts of money. And where there's money, there's dirt very often. So that's not a good idea.
You mean like lobbying?
Yeah, all that. Just
like
campaign finance reform. Yeah, I don't like that. Like
they tried that hard when people like money in politics.
That would solve so many problems.
Listen, my whole freaking childhood was spent hearing about campaign finance reform. I will say that every day there's a drip, 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 and I feel like I come into our show every day in our meeting, and I'm like, oh, thank God there's a lawyer here, because depending on what channel you watch, you're welcome, but depending on what channel you watch, it's going to give you a different message, and I'm not a lawyer, I don't really understand, but what I do know, and thank you, by the way, for explaining it every morning, but not everybody, we're the only people that have that.
And he's banking on that. He's banking on people believing him, Giuliani and Trump.
Well, I will say is that it is this new, on both sides of on Hillary's campaign and Trump's campaign, having a foreign adversary come to you saying, I have opposition research on your opponent, that is unprecedented and strange. And people come to you on campaigns, as they do TV shows all the time, and say, I have this information that you need to use. I have this information you need to show. And anything that I was ever given, even if it was something like ridiculous, I would immediately pass it on to my dad's campaign chief of staff and be like, I don't want to touch any of this, I don't know. So the idea that you're like, okay, I'll meet with Russia, I'll meet with an adversarial country and representatives from them to possibly do. It's
Trump
just,
Jr.
it's that in and of itself, I think, shows the ethical ambiguity that I'm not a lawyer, could be the the rabbit hole we go down.
Well, is there one piece of evidence that's emerged in the past year that has bothered any of you the most about all
the money,
this?
the payments,
you were calling that from day one.
Yeah,
by the way.
the undisclosed payments, the $130,000 through Michael Cohen, that has bothered me. I think
Only
the
one.
most.
Only
okay, because there are a lot of them.
I think that just the whole thing that happened in Trump Tower with Donald Jr. talking to the Russians about conspiring to basically screw up Hillary's campaign, and saying I love it, and acting like that's a normal thing to do, and then people saying, oh, it was a legitimate race. No, it was not.
I would have to say it was probably the email, the Don Jr. emails that they released saying, you know, great, I want to see, you know, that was bad.
Anything for you, baby?
The whole election was horrible. It was one of the worst times in my entire life. I don't know. I think that the one thing I will say, I'm not a lawyer. Sonny's the only lawyer at this table. There's a lot of smoke here. A lot. And a lot of times when there's smoke, there is a fire. And
we
again,
don't even
I don't
know
understand.
what Mueller has.
I'm just sick of I feel like I'm being gaslit on both sides. I'm like, somebody just give me the facts because, again, something happened in some place. Tell me if it's a crime or not. I don't know. I didn't go to law school.
I think the thing that bothered me the most was the not being able to follow any narrative.
Yeah.
I just, you know, because one thing will get said and you think, okay, that's what that is. And then 45 minutes later, it's like something totally different. And they act like you're the dummy.
Yeah.
That's
you didn't say that 45 minutes ago. You're changing, but it's about lots of stuff.
Like, is that like Sonny was saying?
Well, this is
what
all
everyone
smoke and mirrors.
wants.
That's what all of this is. Because this morning I'm sorry, baby. The new guy tweeted accusation. This is one of my favorite things. That Obama's FBI spied on his campaign with an embedded informant, and says if it's true, it's bigger than Watergate. Now, what I'm missing in this, because usually, I thought Hillary and Obama work together generally when they're doing stuff like this. So,
does he feel caught in the middle of President Trump's battle with the media? And Alan Cumming on how Whoopi's following his latest instinct.
You look fat. Nice to see you too.
The House of Hot Topics is in session with Whoopi, Sarah Haynes, Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, and Megan. Now, let's get things started.